Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back for another United Daily Live, and of course, on Mondays we are always here at this time of 10:30 p.m. UK time. So, thank you very much to everyone that is joining us. Thank you to you guys that have been tuning in as well over the weekend, and to you guys that got locked into the Premier League Gazette earlier on today, which you can check out after this if you are yet to see it. But before we get stuck into the news that we were going to discuss in the last hour, we've had some sad news coming through in relation to Manchester United legend and European Cup winner Tony Dunn. He played for Ireland as well, and he's passed away at the age of 78 today. So rest in peace to him. Obviously helped Manchester United win their first European Cup, the first British team to win a European Cup as well. And he won other trophies too. An absolute legend, played over 500 times for Manchester United. Rest in peace to him. Played at fullback. You know, we talk about Evra and Irwin as Mr. Reliable, and he was just that as well. Although there was bigger names in the squad, and you look at the likes of Dennis Law, Georgie Best, Bobby Charlton, Tony Dunn deserved his spot in the team, and he was an absolute legend. So rest in peace to Tony Dunn, who passed away today at 78 years old. But guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're keeping it locked by hitting that subscribe button, liking, commenting, sharing, and joining as well. Just like Unyemi, Daniel, Akpan, and Leighton James, who have joined in the last couple of hours as well to help us edge closer to that target of 100 members by the end of June. We're just over 20 from that now. So if you can, get hitting that join button and help us reach that target. But we're here today to look at reports linking Manchester United with a move for Ansu Fati, the 17-year-old Barcelona whiz kid. Absolutely been tearing it up, and there's been reports Manchester United have made a bid for him, which has been knocked back. So we'll be looking at those reports, seeing where they've come from, why they're coming up. There's talk about him being a possible alternative to Jadon Sancho, and United growing unhappy with the deal. So we'll look at that. We're also looking at reports which are linked to Donny van der Beek and his move to Manchester United potentially, and those transfer rumours. And Real Madrid, in response to that, have said they will not be signing anybody in this summer transfer window. We've got an update from the Premier League on a provisional guide to when that transfer window could be, or from FIFA rather, as well. So we'll look at that, and we'll get information on when that transfer window could be, because there's going to be a crossover in terms of playing football. Because if you remember, the Premier League opted to go with the transfer window closing before the season started. Now, obviously, with there being games cancelled for a long time, delayed seasons, end of campaigns, and then there's going to be a quick crossover into the new campaign. It's going to be difficult to squeeze in the normal amount of time for a summer transfer window in between campaigns. So they're going to have to be a crossover, and we'll get those dates. While there's also further rumours in relation to Brandon Williams and of course Dean Henderson's futures at Manchester United, and potentially signing a new deal. So make sure you're keeping it locked for all of that. And thank you to another new member, HM Surf Parks, who has just joined AdamMcKola TV. Thank you very much for joining, mate. I really do appreciate your support. In the last couple of hours, we have put up a Discord link as well in the community section, so that should still be working, and you can click on that link to join the Discord as well. Jay Reedy, or 94J Reedy, says, I'm getting really nervous about signing Sancho. We have to make it happen, no matter what the cost is. Who aren't we linked to, says Nikki. Van der Beek would only work if Pogba gets sold, says Jamie Easons, and I tend to agree with you there, Jamie. We are being linked to almost everybody, says Arpit. And Vinny, how are you doing, mate? Thank you for joining us. Igalo, future Ballon d'Ors, back in the house. Mehdi. Okay. All right, no problem, Mehdi. It's all calm. It's all calm. Yes, guys, get your comments in as well in relation to Tony Dunn. And do you guys have any, memories of him? You may have been told a lot about him. I know a lot of people from Ireland watch my channel. Maybe you know more about him than many of us do that never lived through his era in terms of when he was playing. So get your comments on him if you have anything else in regards to that. I want this Sancho deal now. I want him. And it looks like everybody does want Jadon Sancho. But today, there were reports that Manchester United had already made a bid of £89 million, and that had been rejected by Barcelona. Manchester United looked to capitalise on any potential uncertainty at Barcelona or any potential damages. And the reports say we went to get in there with the £89 million bid, which was not back. Now the reports which say this, this piece of information also say United made this bid because we were upset with the fact that Jadon Sancho had a price tag of £100 million. Now, why would you drop your main target for a player that is not your main target, and you're going to pay just £11 million less for him? Or you're going to go in at first bid £11 million? It doesn't make any sense. And I've got to say, these stories should be taken with a pinch of salt. I'm not sure where they initially popped up from. Everyone's jumped onto the bandwagon with it, talking about Ansu Fati this, Ansu Fati that, United have bid for him, etc, etc. And I just can't see that being the case. Now, we look at this story. United were ready to pay £89 million for Ansu Fati, with agent Jorge Mendes pushing for a deal. But Barca see the 17-year-old as a key player in the club's future and turned down advances from United. Apparently his agent was keen to broker a deal. Now this to me stinks of United maybe, Dortmund showing that they're in a position where, they maybe will take a lower price, but they're not showing their cards at the moment. They're still playing hardball, saying, nah, we want 120 million euros or we want 100 million pounds for him. So United may have leaked this information to say, well, actually, we're going to target other players. We're not going to fanny around waiting. And that's why we've heard other things. Players, linked to United in the last couple of weeks. We've heard loads of different right wingers being linked with United as alternatives. Now that could be the press getting well bored. The press could just be bored. All right, how can we get a story? Dortmund are saying in the press they want to keep Sancho. They're going to say that regardless of what happens. Now it may be a case United are going to get Sancho, but in the meantime, these papers can, get the clicks and get the stories off the back of these kind of stories, replacements, alternatives for Jadon Sancho. Try and make it look like there's some jeopardy in this deal. So there's more entertainment value, there's more click value when Manchester United fans are looking to see what's happening with Jadon Sancho. You see you guys in the comments, just like me, we want Jadon Sancho, that's all we want, getting a little bit edgy about it. And that could be the press is doing in terms of it makes every other story of theirs a little bit juicier. Because if they face reality, which is United are favourites to sign Jadon Sancho, any of our competition are in a position now where they're saying they're not really in a position to spend that money at this time. Chelsea, who were seemingly a competition, have signed Ziyech and Timo Werner. Can they get Jadon Sancho into that front line with the other players that they have there? I have no doubts they'll probably be able to afford it. But then you look at United. Okay, who else is competition for Jadon Sancho? Not many. So how do Dortmund get this kind of bidding war going? It's very difficult for them to do that. So they just have to stick firm at their bid. Right, we're not taking any less than 100 million. Although previously we've heard from reliable sources like Fabrizio Romano that a deal could probably be struck for 89 million. So it's just, teams just setting their stalls up and trying to play little mind games in the press. And then also you got to factor in that the press just talk a lot of shit as well. It's as simple as that, isn't it? It's as simple as that. War says is the next big thing. I think he's got a long way. Of course, he's got a long way to go. He's only 17 years old, but nevertheless, he's still massively talented. The FM video will be coming soon, but I do apologise on the delays for that. It takes so long to make. Tactics to show that we are interested in other players could force Dortmund into accepting a bid, perhaps, says Noel. And again, similar to what I'm saying, that it may be a case just to get the price down. We'll get into the Van de Beek rumours very soon, Ross. So we'll jump on them. I bet his agent is keen. Yeah, a deal at that kind of price, bud. They'll be getting plenty of money in for the agents. Lee thinks it's bollocks. And Sancho's stats are nearly as good as Messi's this season, says Gideon MJ. Reports, this is pure garbage, says Incomplete. And yeah, I agree, mate. I do think this is absolute trash, and Manchester United have not, in fact, bid for him. And when you look at the reports, they do seem very, very flaky. It could also be that Ansu's agency and Ansu's representation are angling for a new bid in terms of a contract, and they may be saying, look, United want to spend 89 million on him, you may as well give us a new deal right now and get that release clause up, because as you know, in Spain, in every contract the player will have a release clause. Do you think Van der Beek would fit with Bruno and with Pogba if he stays? Great to have squad depth. In the same 11, I don't see how you get balance in your team by playing a midfield of Van der Beek, Pogba and Bruno. But then you could also say there's no balance with Fred, Bruno and Pogba. You know, Van der Beek, is he as good as Fred? You know, defensively, you could argue that maybe. Scott McTominay, but I just can't see Van der Beek really coming in unless we get rid of Paul Pogba. And that's the same with a few other players as well. Particularly, you're looking at Jack Grealish is in that boat as well. Now, in the last 4 hours, there's been a story in the Express, which was Real Madrid are close to agreeing personal terms with confirmed £40 million Man United target. Ajax star Donny van der Beek is on the verge of joining Real Madrid, reports claim. The midfield was wanted by Adi Solskjaer, but Zidane looks to have won his signature. Van der Beek caught the attention of several European heavyweights after his exceptional performances in the Champions League. It looks like it's his last transfer market web claim Van der Beek is close to joining Real Madrid. The reports claim he's edging close to agreeing personal terms with the Bernabeu side over a 5-year contract in a deal worth £40 million. And then you had the other story. You know, Van der Sar was saying that there is interest. It's clear that clubs like Real Madrid and Man United are showing interest in Donny van der Beek. He was there saying that. And then we had those other reports that were saying that Real Madrid aren't in a position to be spending any money this summer. Again, though, that could be them angling for a better deal and posturing in terms of the battle for the player. But that was an interesting quote that come out of the Donny van der Beek rumours, although there is contrasting and conflicting rumours all at the same time, which is a bit of a shock, isn't it? Not. The Times were reporting it though, in regards to Donny van der Beek, so there could be some truth in it. There's always the case, there could be some truth in it. I just don't see where United would fit them both into the same team. Vedder thinks Fred is not good enough, get Donny. What do you think about that? Adama's overhyped. Yes, Moses, how you doing, mate? Thank you very much for the nice words. But yeah, Donny van der Beek, Manchester United, Real Madrid. I don't think United are going to get Donny van der Beek, to be totally honest with you. It just doesn't, in my gut, it doesn't feel like that's one that's going to happen. You guys may have a different opinion. There was also a story in regards to Fernando Chiesa. Now, we've heard of the Fiorentina player linked with Manchester United before. And here's another one. Now, thank you to Sport Witness for compiling these reports. They say Man United's offer is close, very close to club's demands for player. 60 million euros could do the trick. Gazzetta dello Sport are the ones reporting this, stating United were active in their pursuit to sign Federico Chiesa from Fiorentina. This come alongside a big mood killer, which was that the player preferred to stay in Italy, suggesting Edward would need to be very convincing to make him choose otherwise. Furthermore, it was claimed Fiorentina wanted 70 million euros for their star and would not want to see players included as mateweights in any potential deal, meaning it was cash or nothing. There was a big story in the paper as well about it. I don't think so. Federico Chiesa will not be coming to Manchester United, in my humble opinion. And you see that I tend to just knock back a lot of rumours. And that's because the newspapers talk a lot of shit. It's not because I'm just sceptical or anything like that. And you see again, they've got another story here as well, Sport Witness. So in regards to Donny van der Beek, and it's saying, so Monday's edition of Marca said Van der Beek and his agent have presented Man United's interest to Real Madrid, presumably to try and make the La Liga side compete with them. They were met with a very straight, we're not signing anyone. Marca states that as it stands, there's no plans at Real Madrid to make big signings this summer. They did have talks at one stage last year over Van der Beek, but those didn't go. Now you can just imagine it, can't you? You can just imagine it in terms of the way it's gone at Ajax, and maybe they've, if you look at Telesport there, they've got a big back page on Donny and United and Real Madrid, but you can just see it. Real Madrid were in talks with Donny van der Beek and Ajax. There seemed to be a deal there possibly about to happen. Real Madrid have gone quiet because they've obviously coronavirus pandemic and they've lost out on a little bit of money. They haven't got the funds to make the move happen. They've gone quiet. Now Ajax, who need the funds and were possibly considering that, we can count on that money for Van der Beek coming in now, are probably sweating thinking, shit, Real Madrid ain't going to pay for him. We need to get rid of him. So therefore, they've gone around like trying to get rid of the player. And you know that trick on Football Manager where you tell the player to get his agent on the blower to clubs and try and get a move. That may be what we're seeing at the moment. The Ansu Fati link comes from Guillem Balaguer on a podcast. Well, that means it's absolute bollocks and is most definitely not happening. Do not believe anything that Ballback says. Sean Ralph, how you doing, mate? No worries that you're late. Do you think Donny van der Beek stuff with Oli is just to get Real to back off Pogba? Possibly, but I don't think Real are actively pursuing Paul Pogba. I don't think, again, I think it's a similar situation. They were interested. They were open to making a deal happen if it was financially possible. And they're not going to break the bank to make that happen. United were a team that broke the bank to make Paul Pogba our player. And he's probably not going to see that happen from Real Madrid at this moment in time. And Juventus, who are similarly in the same boat. So it looks like Paul Pogba's staying at Man United, which is great for all concerned. Well, us. Anyway, guys, get hitting that like button if you can. We've got 140 people in the house. Get hitting that like button. At least get us to that 100 likes on this video while we are live. Sounds like Ajax are using the United interest to force Madrid's hand, and Madrid are claiming they're not interested in signing anyone to try and get a cheap deal, says Matt. I think we've got this transfer malarkey sussed out at the moment, and it's pretty easy to do that as well. Pretty easy. Best alternative to Jadon Sancho? I'm not sure, to be totally honest with you. Jack Grealish could play there, but he's not a natural on the right. I like Jack. There's a lot of risks, you know what I mean, where players would be well rated, highly talented, but there's still risks. You look at Kai Havertz is one that's spoken about. That would feel like he's a very talented player, and I'd be delighted if United signed someone of his calibre. But if we signed him, he'd feel a little bit more risky than Jadon Sancho. That's why I get such a good feeling about the Jadon Sancho move. It feels like one that's going to happen, and it will happen for all the right reasons. All the right reasons. How you doing, Simon? Real would look to offload players before they buy, especially with their massive wage bill. Depends how he plays for the rest of the season, maybe true. How's it going, Manny? Welcome to the show tonight. We don't want an alternative to Sancho, nothing, get the best or nothing at all. If Ajax are desperate to cash in on Van der Beek, Edwin will definitely be offering him to us. And I suppose that's one benefit of having Edwin van der Sar's relationship with the club. But also he'll use that knowingly that if I say something about United, people will believe it. And I can try and get people in there. There's a video as well of Marcus Rojo breaking quarantine rules, which I didn't even think was still a thing, quarantine rules. But that's Marcus Rojo breaking quarantine rules there for you guys to see. He's walking his dog with his mate? That's allowed, isn't it? Isn't it? What is allowed? What isn't allowed? Here in England, you're not allowed to go to a funeral, but you are allowed to drive to Durham. So I don't know what the rules are at the moment, to be honest. The Timo Werner one's gone a bit quiet, but it does look very likely that he's going to end up Chelsea, which would be a very good signing for them, wouldn't it? In addition to Hakim Ziyech as well. It'd be a very good signing. Rojo doesn't give a shit. Taydan Mengi, yes, good shout, Ross. That's something that we can chat about. Taydan Mengi has been training with the first team. Now he could be one of those players that benefits. If you remember, we did the video before on who's next, who's coming through next. And Taydan Mengi was one of those that we discussed in terms of the player that could make his debut next. And it's been linked with, he's been linked with one of those, that will benefit from the increased bench. But he's also been training, confirmed, with Manchester United's first team today. And there he is in action, by the back of him anyway, with Lindelof. And there he is in first team action. Great stuff. Mason Greenwood's had an haircut. Alright. And the FA are discussing proposals to move the summer transfer window from August until October. So we'd have August till October, a summer transfer window. The league would obviously end in July, end of July. The Champions League, Europa League would be in August. The transfer window would open in August, but if you sign any players, they couldn't compete in the Europa League or the Champions League then. I heard a possibility it could open in July, but if you sign players in July, they can't play for you. Now, I heard that as well. But at the moment, August to, what did I say? October could be a transfer window. And the next league campaign is possibly going to start in the middle of September. So it'd be like a month where we'd have a transfer window open and a campaign going on. They're going to have to do it. There's going to have to be a crossover at some point because of where we are in terms of COVID delay and everything, which is understandable. Yeah, it does sound about right, doesn't it? Rojo's got the same attitude off the pitch as he does on it, says Gideon. Yeah, he just don't give a fuck. Greenwood's an absolute baller. I'd buy United just to get to see a video of the training game from the United Day, says I am Jew boy. I haven't seen anyone. Has anyone predicted what the teams were yet? Does anyone know? Has anyone dug that out, what the teams were on that day? Ander Herrera quotes in The Athletic, if Pogba, Rashford, Marshall can be consistent at a high level, United will win the Premier League soon for sure. He says. Jude Bellingham, his father is apparently keen for his son to follow in the footsteps of Jadon Sancho and join Borussia Dortmund, breaking into Man United's first team at the age of 17 with the current options at the club would be a big ask, and that was in the Mirror. And obviously that's the latest that we're hearing in relation to Jude Bellingham and whether he's going to choose Man United or not. But again, that's probably on the back burner at the moment because we don't know what position Dortmund are going to be in. Do they need to sell before they can buy? If not, you may see a case that United announce Sancho and then Dortmund announce Bellingham. United probably promised to back off Bellingham in order to get a deal through for Sancho. Could be that kind of deal in the offing. The transfer market provisionally could be open August to October, but those are only provisional dates at this moment in time, Abdi. So yeah, let us know what you are thinking about everything we've discussed today. Ansu Fati, Real Madrid, Donny van de Beek, Williams and Henderson potentially getting new deals as well. Well, I think they will get new deals, won't they? And of course, rest in peace to Tony Dunn, Manchester United legend and European Cup winner. So rest in peace to him, a big part of Manchester United's rebuild after the Munich air disaster and helping us become the first British team to win the European Cup. So rest in peace to him and thoughts and condolences with all his family at this sad time as well. Yeah, Bruno and Pogba didn't play together. They were definitely on a different team. Saving it for when the fans can see it. I like to see that. There was also something which was made by the CIES, the Football Observatory, and I found this on United Report. So shout out to United Report. And the Rashford's in the top 5 highest estimated transfer values. Kylian Mbappe is at 260 million estimated transfer value. Raheem Sterling at 195. Jadon Sancho 180. That's not going to help United's cause for getting him on the cheap, is it? Trent is at 170. Rashford's at 150. I'm rounding these, by the way, to like 1 or 2 million out. Mohamed Salah's at 145. Sadio Mane 140. Antoine Griezmann 136. Alphonso Davies 133. Harry Kane at 118 million. So those are the most valuable players in the world, according to the Football Observatory in the big 5 leagues anyway. And if United sign Jadon Sancho, we may have 2 of the top 5 on our hands. Trent though, 170 million for a defender. He does have his uses going forward though, I suppose, so he's kind of a different type of fullback, isn't he? But nevertheless, 170 million. We've got a super chat in the house as well. Simon Carr says, not a question, Adam, but I want Man United to hurry up and sign Sancho. And hopefully that message has put some good positivity, positive vibes, and the law of attraction and all that will work and will bring Jadon Sancho to Man United. I am quite confident that we're going to have Jadon Sancho at Man United, to be totally honest with you. Genuinely am. I think he's going to sign for Man United. Now that could come up and, explode in my face and make me look stupid. But I do feel like Jadon Sancho is going to end up as a Man United player. We're probably the only ones that will pay what they want for him, or close to what they want for him. We'll pay him the wages that he wants, or that he can, more than he can imagine. And we need him in that position. We've got a shirt free for him, and we've got a position free for him. And I think it's going to happen. He's obviously got a friendship there with Marcus Rashford, and you can't take that for granted. He's got friends in the England team from most of the big clubs in England. But I am confident that he's going to be. I don't know where that comes from, because at the same time, I lacked confidence in Paul Pogba being here next season. I had no confidence in that happening, and it looks like that one may happen. So, but I think Jadon Sancho is going to be our man. He's going to be at Man United very soon. But there you go. Love these live streams at night. More of the same, please. When the season's back underway and we're doing more regular football content, I'll make these United daily streams probably be in the evening. It's just while we're all on lockdown. There's no football. They're in the morning. But we'll probably do, when the football season returns and we have more previews, reviews, the live fan cams, things like that on the channel. Then I will do less of these United daily videos, but we'll have them at this time probably, around 11 o'clock like we used to do with the tomorrow's transfers today. And Michael Kennedy with his super chat simply says BLM, which if you don't know stands for Black Lives Matter. So thank you very much, Michael Kennedy. Think of the embarrassment if he flops, says Skrill. Embarrassment is not embarrassment for me. And he won't be embarrassed in his pocket. You think Alexis Sanchez is embarrassed? He's not embarrassed right now, bruv. Sorry, so we're the first English team to win it. Apologies if I made that mistake and I said British instead of English. Apologies. I hope we do sign him.